Welcome to Comment with me, George Galloway, here on Press TV, broadcasting to you each and every week at this time from central London. It's the big conversation, it's the great debate, but it can only be a debate if you join in. That's why we need your SMS and your emails, and above all, your telephone calls to the numbers coming up on the screen throughout the show. You can also leave voicemail for us on 0044 203 070 2522. It's the great debate, not much doubt what the main subject of the debate will be this evening. It's day 20 of the Israeli slaughter of the Palestinians in Gaza. More than 1,100 people have been killed in a little over 2 weeks. 317 of those have been children, small children mostly. Almost 100 have been women. More than half of those killed have been innocent civilians. And 5,000 or more have been maimed, many of them permanently disabled, for the rest of their lives, unable to walk or function as human beings. It is a war crime. It is a scandal of the greatest proportion. The British Parliament had a debate on it this afternoon. I participated in it, as did many others. The British government was resolute in its support for Israel, but the Parliament was something else. And there's a split emerging in the British establishment. Press TV conducted a remarkable interview with one of the princes of British diplomacy, Sir Jeremy Greenstock. Listen to just a little of what he had to say.
We've been talking about rockets, but let's also remember, if you look at the ceasefire in 2008, Hamas made sure that no rockets were fired for 5 months nearly, from mid-June to early November. Within those 4.5 months, nearly 200 Palestinians died because the borders were closed against their ambulances trying to get through to hospitals that would only because there was no medical equipment in Gaza to deal with those illnesses or wounds. People were dying the whole time. If that was my country, and if my daughter had died because her ambulance couldn't get across a blocked border, I would be angry. President-elect Obama has said that he would be angry if rockets were falling on the school where his daughters were at school. Well, there are two sides to that as well. Many more Palestinians have died because of those borders being blocked.
That, I think, is the authentic voice of the British diplomats, the people who know the Middle East best. But it's not the voice of the British ministers, the languid complacency of British Foreign Office ministers, who remember when Russia was in a conflict with Georgia, were right on the front line in Kiev in the Ukraine, wagging their fingers at the Russians and telling them what the international community required of them. Compare and contrast with the milk and water approach of British governance and diplomacy in the United Nations. They boast that they were the authors of Resolution 1860, which called for a ceasefire. But the resolution has been completely ignored, and hundreds of people have perished in the flames of the bombardment of Gaza ever since. I'd be ashamed if I wrote a resolution that nobody paid any attention to. Now, I gave you the voicemail number earlier. Let's listen to some of the voicemails that were left last week.
Israel for the Jewish people. He did not give it to the Palestine people. If they want to live free, they should go somewhere else, not stay around and kill all the time Jewish people. To go find themselves to live in Iran. Maybe Iran can take them in, or Iraq, or other Arab nations. I thank you, my friend.
Well, that's a voice, and it's an opinion. It's one that was voiced by several members of the British Parliament today. It's remarkable how many British members of Parliament have visited Sderot in the south of Israel. I bet when they were there, none of them looked for the ruins of the Palestinian villages on top of which Sderot was built. 80% of the people in the Gaza Strip are refugees, most of them refugees from the very south of Palestine, the very area where the now Israeli city of Sderot stands. It's their own land that they're having to look at through the barbed wire of their refugee camp. So, my friend, I don't know where you're from. There have been some weird and wonderful allies of Israel in this bombardment. I saw outside the embassy the other day a large group of African Christian fundamentalists demonstrating their support for the massacre of Palestinians. It's not good, and it's not the real voice of Africa. So don't forget the voicemail number, 0044-203-070-2522, and get your voicemail on the air. I think we'll take one more before we go to the comment wall. Let's hear another one.
Television, and it was dreadful, and I just couldn't bear it. I cried so many times, like many other people, I'm sure, when they see the children, but I just wonder about the foreign minister of Israel. She's a lady, just like me, but I just wonder what type of heart she has. Has she got children? Has she not got children? Has she ever got any relatives with little babies? If anything happens to them, how would she feel? How would she feel? But she's so cold. I've never seen a cruel lady more cruel like her. I just wondered, people can be like that. People can be like that. That's amazing.
Well, I must tell you that the rationale behind it is that the Palestinians are subhumans, that they are less than human. Former Prime Minister Begin described the Palestinian people as animals on two legs. Another Israeli minister, Rafael Aitan, the former defense minister, said the Palestinians were just drugged cockroaches in a bottle. The blood of Muslims, the blood of Palestinians, is worth less than the blood of Israelis and the blood of Westerners. That's the lesson of international affairs over this last period. And I'm sorry, we have to change that paradigm. Thank you very much indeed for that voicemail. Let's go to the comment wall and take our first email of the evening. We want to see your country, your name up here in lights, whether you agree with us or not. Here's Kraus in Nigeria. I like your program because it is where you showcase your bleep. How old are you? I guess you're above 40, which means you are a bleep forever. No wonder you behave like a bleep, going about organizing rally and protest for terrorists all over the world in London. I know your problem is frustration, but find something better to do with your time. You are too irresponsible and uncivilized to feature in any decent and organized television studio. You can only feature in terrorist-run press TV, where bandits and criminals feature. Scotland must be made up of bleep to have allowed a bleep like you to represent them. You are a disgrace to humanity and to your family. Well, I'm sorry, Kraus, that you felt the need to write such an abusive email to us. I'm glad you're watching Press TV because you'll maybe learn something. And I'm glad you're listening to me, as you obviously are if you're contacting me, because maybe your prejudice will be shaken out. But let's be under no illusion. The bandits and the criminals in this picture are the Israeli occupation and the Israeli bombardment of the Palestinians. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, Kraus, except the people are people, human beings, not fish. Anyway, let's go back to the comment wall and take an SMS. This one is from Maria in the United Kingdom. Selective justice, has the world gone mad? Are the people blind, or are we inviting doomsday? Maria, this is one of the points I made in my speech in the Houses of Parliament this evening. I said to them, you're always looking for some radical cleric to exclude from the country. You're always looking for some Islamic organization to proscribe, to ban, because you're afraid of the radicalization of British Muslims. How radical do you think the British Muslims are feeling this day as they watch this slaughter on their television screens? And more of them are tuning to Press TV because there they'll find the truth rather than the sanitized version of the truth that they'll get on the mainstream. Let's take a telephone call. Yes, caller, where are you calling from? Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Where are you?
I'm calling from Italy, John Gallery. Thank you very much for a very good job that you are doing, John Gallery.
Thank you so much. Thanks.